Can you hear me?
আশরাফ স্যার মনে হয় এই মুহূর্তে স্যার মনে হয় নাই, তাকে দেখা যাচ্ছে না। আচ্ছা যাক, আমরা যেহেতু আশরাফ স্যার এই মুহূর্তে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে না, আমরা আমাদের সিনিয়র ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট জনাব নুরুল ইসলাম আকম স্যারের কাছে অনুমতি চাচ্ছি। তার যদি অনুমতি দেন আমরা শুরু করতে পারি।
হ্যাঁ মহিউদ্দিন স্যার, আমরা মনে হয় অনুষ্ঠান শুরু করতে পারি। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ, আপনি শুরু করুন।
জি ধন্যবাদ। আমরা আমাদের আজকের অনুষ্ঠান উপস্থাপনায় রয়েছে আমি ভার্চুয়াল এডুকেটরস কোলাবোরেশনের সাধারণ সম্পাদক মহিউদ্দিন ভূঁইয়া, প্রভাষক হিসাব বিজ্ঞান, সরকারি ইকবাল মেমোরিয়াল কলেজ দাগনভূঞা ফেনী, এবং আমার সাথে উপস্থাপক হিসেবে রয়েছেন আমাদের ভার্চুয়াল এডুকেটরস কোলাবোরেশনের সম্মানীয় যুগ্ম সাধারণ সম্পাদক জাহানারা ম্যাম। আমি জাহানারা ম্যামকে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান শুরু করার জন্য বিনীতভাবে অনুরোধ করছি। ম্যাডাম।
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and a very good evening to all the reputed persons present at today's event. This is the first time in Bangladesh virtual collaborative educators platform is going to organize project-based learning in Microsoft Teams, which is the most demanding matter at the present time situation. So I'd like to welcome to all of you again. Really, the day is ours because we are very lucky today. Why? The question is why? We have some special person, special educators of our country with us. We are very lucky because we have our honorable former secretary, Mr. Anai Khan sir, among us as a chief guest in today's program. I wholeheartedly welcome sir to our session. He is always steadfast in academic life and took up various innovative projects and initiatives for building digital Bangladesh. Again, welcome, sir. We are very delighted to have Professor Farooq Ahmed, sir, former consultant HY Bangladesh, as a special guest among us. Welcome, sir. Your respective presence, we have as a guest of honor from our neighboring friendly country, India, Mrs. Paramjit Khardilon, Principal, Kamla Nehru Public School, Punjab, India. She is very friend of mine. She is always dedicated, passionate, hardworking, and helpful. She always guides collaborative projects. She has been visited 14 countries for educational purpose. She is globally validated master trainer on 21st century core skill by British Council. She has already been trained 2,000 plus educators all over India. Dear respective presence, we have two amazing session trainers. First of all, Dr. Charles Vice Principal, Kamla Nehru Public School, India. Welcome, ma'am. She is amazing. A PhD holder, 21 years of experience in teaching learning skills. She is a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. Not only that, she is a MI trainer, Minecraft Global Mentor, Wakelet Ambassador, Adobe Creative Educator, Microsoft Office Specialist, and coordinating for Rise 4 SDGs International Community Educational Advocacy Program. Welcome, ma'am. Our another session trainer in honor, Mrs. Sharda Pulavatia, an emerging coordinator, Kamla Nehru Public School, India. She is also a Microsoft Innovative Educator Master Trainer, Minecraft Global Mentor, Wakelet Ambassador, Flipkart Student Voice Ambassador, Kahoot Certified Educator, Airport Certified Educator. Welcome to all, men. Now, I'd like to request Mojhiuddin sir to run the next session. Mojhiuddin sir, over to you.
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাডাম। আমরা আমাদের এই পর্যায়ে আমরা স্বাগত বক্তব্য শুনবো। আমাদের এই পর্যায়ে স্বাগত বক্তব্য রাখবেন আমাদের ভার্চুয়াল এডুকেটরস কোলাবোরেশনের অন্যতম দায়িত্বশীল ব্যক্তি, ভার্চুয়াল এডুকেটরস কোলাবোরেশনের সম্মানীয় সিনিয়র ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট জয়পুরহাট ক্যাডেট কলেজ গার্লস ক্যাডেট কলেজের সম্মানীয় সহকারী অধ্যাপক, আমাদের সকলেরই একান্ত প্রিয় শ্রদ্ধেয় নুরুল ইসলাম আকন্দ মহোদয়। শ্রদ্ধেয় নুরুল ইসলাম আকন্দ মহোদয়কে স্বাগত বক্তব্য রাখার জন্য অনুরোধ করছি। Sir, you are muted. Sir, please unmute.
Now am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, Mohyuddin sir. It is my great privilege and honor to deliver my speech on the eve of starting the first in kinds project-based learning in Microsoft Team in Bangladesh. First of all, I'd like to pay my gratitude and honor to our respected NI Khan sir for giving his consent and presence here. Whatever I know, NI Khan sir is the legendary person in our education sector. Another, Farooq Ahmed Khan sir. Farooq Ahmed sir is another legendary person and consultant aspect to innovation HY project in Bangladesh. It is my great pleasure to be present in such kind of session which is going to start in our country. I like to mention here the initiative of our government who is going to start project-based learning in 2022, and this is going to be incorporated in our education system from secondary education. So this learning process will give us an outstanding platform to groom up our students to make them a global citizen. The project-based learning is a burning issue, an important issue in present context. I like to pay my gratitude to friends from neighboring country, India, who are very much cooperative and collaborative to us, and they are going to represent project-based learning through Microsoft Teams. That means project-based learning, how to help us, how to help in pandemic situation, how to help in online collaborations, learning, and how to help our students from their home, not only face-to-face matters. I like to pay my gratitude to Pranamjit Kaur Dillon, Principal, Governor Nehru Public School, Dr. Sharu Sabram, Vice Principal, Governor Nehru Public School, and another trainer, the Sarda Kolapata, Coordinator, Governor Nehru Public School. And I will be happy if this type of collaboration is to be continued for next also. This is first time, and especially I'd like to mention this matter for our NI Khan sir and our Farooq sir, that NI Khan sir is a dream maker of this country. I think I saw NI Khan sir's dream in his eyes during the creative question making training. I have seen, sir, you in a training session. You made a wonderful speech in front of us. You are a dream maker of the country. So you will be happy to know that this project will help to equip our teachers for the next generation, equip our teachers to build up a next future, a better future for the country. And I do not want to extend my speech for more time, because all of us, all of our participants are eagerly waiting to have the session as early as possible. Thank you very much for your gracious presence. Thank you very much, our beloved Anaikan sir, Purmoj sir, for your kind consent and presence, sir. Thank you very much, and we will enjoy. And I am also waiting for enjoying the session. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable speech. To your respective presence, now I would like to request Mrs. Paramjit Kherdhilan, Principal, Kamla Nehru Public School, Punjab, India, to say something about today's session. I hope Madam will explain us what is the most utility of Microsoft Teams here and how can we implement project-based learning here. That means how it can be practically applicable here. Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you. We begin with today's session. Thank you so much, ma'am. I take this opportunity to welcome the chief guest of the day, Mr. N.I. Khan, former Secretary, Ministry of Education, Bangladesh, for his gracious presence in this session. I also take this opportunity to welcome the special guest of the day, Professor Farooq Ahmed, former consultant, Aspire to Innovate A2I Bangladesh. Sir, we are honored, delighted, humbled with the presence, your presence, sir. I am Paramjit Kherdhilan, Principal of Kamla Nehru Public School, Phagwara, Punjab, India. With me, I have two more trainers today. I have Dr. Charu Chhabra, the Vice Principal of Kamla Nehru Public School, and Sharda Pulla Bhatla. She's the coordinator of the school. I understand that we have educators as our honorable, beloved educators as our audience today. I do hope and believe that all of us are responsible educators and we would not be unmuting ourselves. And in the end, we are all out to answer all your questions and queries. Beginning and talking about Microsoft Teams, a wonderful tool which we have been using since 19th of March 2020 for K-12 learning. Right from kindergarten to grade 12, the safest tool as such is Microsoft Teams, and we are using it in a big way. We were using earlier before the pandemic, but now it is in every class, and every teacher, every student is using Microsoft Teams as such. A wonderful partnership between Bangladesh and India has started today. An honor and privilege to be the first team from India collaborating with Bangladesh. And today is an important session because what I understand is Bangladesh government has gone in for project-based learning, promoting it, and might be starting in the next academic session. So here we go, project-based learning using Microsoft Teams. Yes. Charu, have you moved on to the next slide, please? Or, okay. So before we move ahead, I really don't know whether there's a glitch over there, but yes, I continue from here. We are sharing a redeem and a training code. And this code is expected that all the MIEs who are there would redeem it by going to Microsoft Education Center. So moving ahead, it's all about project-based learning. Yes, maybe have the slideshow, please. Project-based learning is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to an authentic, engaging, complex questions, problem, or challenges. Now, this definition of project-based learning appears to be very heavy. So let me simplify it. Project-based learning is learning using inquiry. It is learning about real-life problems in the world out there. And it is student-led learning. Moving on. Charu, if you have a problem, please let me know. I would share or Sharda would share. If you feel it's going okay, then it's fine. Maybe have the slide. Yeah, thank you very much. We are on it. So project-based learning is student-centered pedagogy, and pedagogy is a methodology of teaching. So if student becomes important, teacher is not so important in project-based learning. See, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to make everybody understand who are new to project-based learning, what actually is project-based learning. So students acquire a deeper knowledge when they go through project-based learning. Active exploration of real-world challenges and problems. Students work on an extended period of time. It's not a 2 days affair. It's not one period. Project-based learning could be a week. It could be 1 month. It could be more than that. So that's the type of a methodology. Students work for an extended period of time. As I said, it is a style of active learning and inquiry-based learning. Ladies and gentlemen, I find somebody has unmuted. Please mute yourself. Yes. Moving on. I believe, Sharda, if you could share, please.
Sharda is sharing, ma'am. Sharda is sharing.
Okay, all right. Some challenges, that's what happened when technology comes in. But that does not discourage us. This has become part and parcel of our learning and teaching in a classroom. We never fall. We always rise higher. That's what we do in our schools. That's what we do in our training sessions. In the meantime, I continue sharing about project-based learning. Coming to what we are doing in our school, we are having continuously remote learning going on. And when it came to remote learning, we started pretty early. When COVID struck in China, we realized that the school children would not be able to go to the school. And so we started early, and we started planning in December 2019, and then came January 2020, and we started having training amongst each other. We started training the parents. We started training the students how to use Microsoft Teams. Some challenges here. Sharda, you have not shared the screen yet, but yes, I continue with how we moved on. So then we train the parents, and remember our school is in a village and we cater to children from 65 villages. So all of them, they had one mobile phone, a smartphone, and we taught them how to download Teams on their phones. And after downloading Teams on the phones, we taught them how to log into a class and how to go about. So coming back, all right, but that's how it happens. Yes, may we have the screen share? Okay, so I share some more experience of ours using Microsoft Teams, and then moving on, we have some challenges here, real challenges here, but it's okay. So there we are back on our presentation. So ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about what is project-based learning. So let's know the difference between what is a project and what is a project-based learning, because normally people think that doing a little project is project-based learning. It is not so. Doing a project is just like a dessert. You know, after having a lunch or dinner, we would like to have a dessert. We would like to have a mishti doi, or we might go for a rasgulla or a sandesh, or we might go for a pastry or a cake, right? So that small little sweet dish, that is a project, all right? But when we talk about project-based learning, it is the main course. And the main course is the complete plate of food which we need to have. And the complete plate of food is masoor dal, aloo bhaja, beans bhola, luchi aloo dum, then sada bhat, bhet ki paturi, shor se mach. I'm sorry if I pronounce anything incorrectly, but project is just mishti doi. And project-based learning is the entire plate of food. So please understand, project is a small thing, but the whole meal, the main course, is project-based learning. Moving on. Some glitches, some technical glitches today. Yeah. So a dessert project offers a fun or a creative challenge for the students, so it seems like a special treat. You know, the mishti dough is something very, very nice and tasty, right? But what is missing? The missing is the whole plate. So project-based learning, the project is the fun and a creative challenge for the students, so it seems like a special treat, but what is missing is the full plate. Next, please. And the full plate is all the food which is put in the plate. Yes, please. Okay, we move ahead. So, all right, I keep talking as such, and meantime, Charu might, my colleague might set the system. So when it comes to dessert, I'm talking about what is a project now. Doing a project. We are emphasizing on the fact that a project is a small little thing and project-based learning is the bigger aspect of it. I find a hand raised, but we'll be coming to the questions at the end. In the meantime, Charu, try to set your system right. Doing a project is an add-on to the traditional instructions, a small little project which could be added. For example, if we are doing the solar system, making a chart with all the planets on it is a simple project, making a chart with a lesson of solar system. Then in making a project, the students follow the directions of the teacher and the focus is on the product. Often unrelated to standards and skills. There are no standard of making a particular chart or writing a poem or doing anything when it comes to making a simple project. Can be accomplished along and can be done all alone, or it could be done at home also. So, and the entire project which is done, it remains in the four walls of the classroom. The child can do it at home or it remains in the classroom. And the end result of the project is displayed in the classroom. So a project is something which is small, which is done with the teaching, learning, which is happening in the classroom. And it is done, and once the project is made, the chart could be placed in a class, or the child can, show the drawing in front of in the class. Everything remains in the class. But when it comes to project-based learning, now we have the right slides over here. The instructions integrated into project, the project is a unit. It's not a small thing, it's a big thing. It's driven by students' inquiry. The students try to inquire about everything which they have to do. They have to research for it. They have to have a suitable content which they find out. And they're focused on the product and the process. It is not just the chart, but how you have made the chart. The entire collaboration, the entire inquiry, everything comes. So project-based learning is focused on project and product and the process. Now, this is aligned to the academic standards and success skills. All right. So there is a criterion also when it comes to project-based learning. Involves collaboration with students and in-class guidance from the teacher. The teacher guides the students over here. Has a real world context and application. The problem is real. It is not a problem which is imaginary or something like that. It is a real problem outside in the world. And then it has a context and application also. Results of project-based learning is always shared in the audience. This is very, very important. So project remains in the classroom, but project-based learning moves out to the audience out there. Yes, please. Now there are 8 essential elements of project-based learning. Let me share what these 8 essential elements of project-based learning are. The first and the foremost is the significant content. Means whatever content is related to the project which you have designed. So that is the significant content. It could be some websites, some books, some blogs which have been written. It could be any of these things, right? And then it is an in-depth inquiry. In the project-based learning, We go into the depth. We study about the minute details of the topic which is under learning for the children as such. And then there's always a driving question. And once we study everything, then the question comes in, and then we are supposed to find the answer of this particular driving question. And to find the answer for this driving question, children need to know. What do they need to know? What content, what examples, what applications they need to know, and what literature, what knowledge, what skills they need to know becomes the next part of project-based learning. I'm talking about 8 essential elements. It is not, project-based learning is not walking into the classroom and start teaching. It requires some planning here. And then voice and choice, another essential element of project-based learning. And voice and choice we're talking about is of the students. The students can speak out and say, this is the way I'm going to learn. I'm going to go for the inquiry, then I'm going to write a poem. Or I'm going to learn everything and I'm going to present a paper. Or I'm going to draw. So they have a voice and they have a choice. They can speak out and decide how they're going to show the learning which happens during the project-based learning. The next element is revision and reflection. So as the children prepare to present their learning, they present amongst their fellow students and in the classroom, and each one tells the other one, you're right here. You can change this here. Why don't you paint like this? This is not clear. Your poem is not to the point. So their learning has a voice and choice, and they then revise and they reflect. Reflect is thinking. After thinking whether it's right or wrong, they change it. And then the most important essential element of project-based learning is public audience. Once they have learned everything, they have to show what they have learned to real people. Real life problems are taken and they are shown in front of the real people. So the children recite the poem in front of somebody, they put up an exhibition or something, invite people to the school or the classroom or to the virtual art gallery, or they go in for paper presentation. And of course, lastly, 21st century skills are developed. And 21st century skills are skilled communication, collaboration, and then use of ICT and the self-regulation and real-world problem and innovative solutions which they find. These are the 21st century skills which are developed. And these are the skills which help a child to get a job, to become a global citizen, which professor was talking at the beginning of the session. Yes, project-based learning will build all the confidence in the world amongst the students to become global citizens. Yes, please. So now why project-based learning? Yes, go ahead, please. I believe, Charu, you are muted. And if you have a challenge, I would like to continue, please. If you can speak, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when we are talking about 8 elements of project-based learning, they are really very, very essential when we are planning a project at a very initial stage. So 8 elements plays a vital role when we are planning our project. So the question arises, why project-based learning? Why should we go for project-based learning, and why can't we go with the simple projects and the traditional classrooms and all those things, which we are still continuing on in most of our classes, and why we need to change? So the important aspect arises here that it promotes lifelong learning. And like lifelong learning, we say that it is deeper understanding of a certain task which is given to the students, or the students say they themselves the certain tasks. That is, I need to go for certain research, or I need to go for some discussions and deliberation. That is, it is all a deeper understanding when we talk about, and it's lifelong learning. It can be incorporated in any of the learning environment, whether we are teaching our students online medium or it is in a physical classroom. But today our agenda is, our priority is that if we are going for a Microsoft Teams, so how our students who can go for this project-based learning, and how as a teacher we can plan and incorporate project-based learning in our own classroom. So that is main agenda, and that it can be planned in any way. So it majorly how we talk about this lifelong learning, it determines the student determines their own learning outcomes. Like I have I'm participating in this certain project, and this is the outcome I would like to reach, and these are the resources and these are the tools I would like to opt for. So it is a student-centered project. That is the major aspect of project-based learning. Here I would like to share a wonderful, superb example which we have experienced in our classroom of one of the project-based learning. And at the end of this example, you may really see that how it can promote lifelong learning. Like in our country, our school is affiliated with Central Board of Secondary Education, and then artificial intelligence is a skill subject which has been introduced by the board from which our school is affiliated with. So the skill subject for grade 8 to 11th has been introduced. But and before that, a rigorous training of all the teachers, educators, whosoever would be taking this important subject, very important upcoming subject, was done, and the subject was introduced, and we have opted for that. Our students, 8th class student, it was a very first batch, and then the question arises that the resources or the books, you can say, the students which they have to refer to were still yet to come in the market, and the teaching process was going on. So there was a major problem that we didn't have any books available with us. So the student decided, let's go for some innovation, let's go for some planning. So the problem was they were looking for different content available on the internet, and number of content was available on the internet, but the right content, which is as per the curriculum, was not was taking much time. So now they thought, let's go for some preparation of some bot or some project which helps the students to find a content at one single place. So the students, they have come up with a bot, and in that bot, all the content which was relevant to the curriculum was integrated, and then that bot which the students have created was integrated into the Microsoft Teams platform. So students need not to go here and there or look for some other websites which they were earlier looking into it. So it was so engaging. Every students, they have the task, and they use that responsibility in a better way. They discuss these things with the experts, the parents, the teachers, and everywhere, and they have come up with such a wonderful solution, which it is a lifelong learning. And during this process of this project, the students got an amazing, superb opportunity to meet Mr. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. So you can see how the project-based learning, which started in a small single classroom, has gone to the global scenario. So that is the reach. And then you can very well imagine that project-based learning is not limited to the school building. And that's the example which I have quoted here. It is not limited to the school building. We have to broaden our horizon. We have to think that how our students can come up to the certain problems. They have to look for it, and what are the solutions as per whatever the solutions they come with. There is nothing right or wrong, but the risk has to be taken. So that is how which is moving on. The project-based learning, another important point is project-based learning promotes self-regulation. So when we are talking about self-regulation, during this process of project-based learning, when we are talking about 8 elements, that is, the students that take the responsibility, they take the responsibility of their own learning. Students, they take the responsibility of their own learning. That is, they set their own targets, that I have gone into this first stage, and this is my responsibility. I need to achieve this target. So if the students, they are doing a certain project in a group, so certain responsibility is taken by certain students, a particular student. So the student take the responsibility of that task, and then look into it, and they find out there are certain resources, what they are expected to do it. So it promotes self-regulation, and which is the most important things that I need to regulate, and I need to be responsible for the X which we are doing it. So if we teach our students how to be responsible, so half the problem would be solved. So another important and the why should we go for a project-based learning is it improves academic achievements. Our school is known for n number of project-based learning. We one or the another project, it keep on moving in our classes. So we have seen that such academic improvement is there in the student. The students, those who are speaking less, or the students, those who are shy, they are even actively participating. They are coming with creative solutions, the creative ideas, whether it is a blog, whether it is a poem, whether it is a posters, they need to come. They are speaking, they are doing n number of research. So academic achievement is seen slow and steadily, but at the end of the product, we have found that it has really worked a lot when it comes to project-based learning. So another important aspect, why should we go for project-based learning, is to enhance student interpersonal and intrapersonal skills. That is, if a project is taken and I am in a team, my role, what is my role? And my role, is it affected with the other team members? Will I be able to complete this task? And if I won't be responsibly completing my task, will it be affecting the entire team? So the interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills are developed during the entire process of project-based learning, and which is very, very important. So here I will talk about that. It is really, really important that teamwork and collaborative learning is emphasized during the entire process. The 8 elements which ma'am has already talked about, that is, this content is being taught, and through those 8 processes, the interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills are being developed. The teamwork and the individual identity is being enhanced. What was my role and how I have accomplished my tasks, which lead to the team success. That is very, very important when it comes to project-based learning. So here it's a difference we can talk about. Is it a project or a project-based learning? So we can say that project, how we can discriminate between a project and a project-based learning. We are doing our n number of projects in our classrooms since ages like I have a 21 years of experience, and n number of projects are being done by us even when we are not aware about those project-based learning. So if I give a simple example, in a computer science class, for example, if a cybersecurity topic is being taught by the teacher, so the teacher feels that let us bring some project into this classroom and then bring some energy and excitement amongst the students. So she thought of giving a task to the students, a project to the students, that let's go for some video making. So this video making was given to the entire class. It can be done in a group or it can be done by an individual student as well. So the number one is can be done alone. The project can be done alone or even by a team of students. It's up to the teacher or to the students. They can plan out about the project. So about the project also, the teacher will tell that this is a project and you need to go for it. You need to go for a video, and it is teacher directed that you need to go for a 30-second video, and then in the beginning you need to give some information, and in the end you need to give credits to the information you collect, and the name and the teacher name and the project submitted and all of those things, the traditional way or some creative way. It's all up to them. Like real world content, you can say it may lack or it may not lack. It depends what type of project we are giving. The learning really happens, real learning happens in the project, but up to some extent it happens. We can't say that in the project there is no learning, but it is happening. But in the end, all projects have the same goal. The students, when they complete a project, they come up with the videos with the same type of little bit creativity of different students differ, but they come up with same type of content, that if cybersecurity video is prepared, the password need to be said, which website they need to go for, and they need to, yeah. Yeah.
Are you hearing?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Please stop a chat box and attend the camera off. But now we want to hear our honorable special guest speech and our chief guest speech.
Okay.
If you permit me.
Okay.
Then I continue.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, we will arrange this session after the end of our honorable chief guest and special guest speech.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
And if
you class at the end, I can say something, but otherwise I should not create digression rather.
So, sir, if you agree, then
If
it will be continue. If you allow us, sir.
Yeah, I think you should continue because our main focus is this thing,
thank you
not
so much.
the chief guest speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, Charu ma'am, please continue.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Sorry
Thank you. No worries. Just a minute. I'm sharing my screen again. Yeah.
So, ma'am, please stop.
Please stop the chat box, please.
Attend the camera off.
Set box.
Then
Set
you
box. Stop set box. Stop set box.
And attend the camera off. Attend the camera off.
আমাদের প্রশিক্ষণার্থীরা একটু কাইন্ডলি লেখালেখি বন্ধ করেন। একটা এখানে তো লেখালেখির প্রয়োজন না, আপনি ট্রেনিং করতেছেন, ট্রেনিং বিষয়টা শুনেন, একটু কাইন্ডলি লেখালেখি বন্ধ করেন প্লিজ।
Okay.
Dear honorable teachers, we have a session. At the end of the session, we will have arrange actually a questionnaire session. So if you face any problem, please write down in your notebook. Then when we will arrange the session, you will get the chance to ask your question and get your answer. So I would like to request all of you, please stop your chat. Stop your writing on the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you. Is I'm audible?
Ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So we were talking about the project, what the projects are like, and then I now move on to what the project-based learning is like. So here I would like to give one of the example which happened in our civics class, and the teacher was teaching, say, gender sensitivity topic in grade 8. And then the significant content, that is the first element of project-based learning, that is significant content, was being taught by the teacher. Now the in-depth inquiry was also being done by the student, and teacher thought, let's bring some energy and excitement into that Microsoft Teams classroom, and then bring some project-based learning into this chapter because it was so interesting and it was related to SDG 5, gender equality. So let's do something more about it, and then let's promote it. So that was the required collaboration, teacher guidance. So teacher guided the students, let's go for something, and about the process as well, that this is the project-based learning, we are going to go about it, and the content as per the chapter is being taught to you. Now let's go for something excitement. So the task was planned, the policy was planned, and then it was student directed. You can say the students, they planned what they need to go. So the teacher gave little cue about the project and guided that this is an important issue. Let's go for some real life learning. You can research in your community, in your houses, in your neighborhood, or you can go for online research as well, and come up with some certain nice promotions and advertisements, and let's go for it, and then we will upload it on our school website or on our school Facebook or on a Twitter. So let's come with some excitement and spicy things into the classroom, and then bring some excitement. The students, they have come up with wonderful online street plays. They collaborated together. It's up to the students. It is their voice and choice. They have come up with wonderful poems, raps, posters. It was based on real world experiences, what they are observing in their home, in the neighborhood, community, or into the online news, the data which they have collected. That was a problem, and they have come up with certain promoted solutions with that. Real learning occurred through the project. So while through the entire process, the real learning was happening. Students choose to determine the outcomes. It was students who decided what would be the outcome of their own project. So it was the project-based learning. So I think it would help you to understand difference between the project and a project-based learning. So this is how the process moved on.
Thank you, educators. So after learning about elements of project-based learning and why project-based learning, let's proceed to how project-based learning. Now this is an important aspect. There are 3 major phases in it. Step 1, give think time to students. help students to build critical thinking skills alongside content knowledge. Step 2, solve a problem or of course a situation that's from the real life as our educator mentioned. Third phase is to define the hard and soft skills needed. After this, let's begin with a driving question. The questions that we pose to students in order to get them to investigate a problem or a process is a driving question. Kindly pay attention to this. The questions that we pose to students in order to get them to investigate a problem or process is a driving question. It's vital to ask apt questions. They come up with practice, like say, for example, why, how, etc. And definitely we have to remember, all the educators must remember, followed by a challenge, something like build, create, design. Students need to dig deep into the topics. Further, when we proceed, the next step would be plan your project design. Project-based learning requires preparation and planning. And of course, in our school, Kamala Nehru Public School, India, we believe in the fact, as guided by our respected principal, ma'am, 80% is planning and 20% is execution. If we plan well, we surely would be a step ahead to achieve success in all activities. We need to design the project using essential questions to launch various activities in a project-based learning. It's important to consider the content standards, something like, say, time frames, duration, stepwise activities, submissions, and all these have to be kept in mind. And once we have designed, what next? Of course, students are the most important aspect of project-based learning. So we should provide students choices. They should have the liberty to select what they actually want to do. Children need to select the way they want to master that specific project or a topic so that they recognize their strengths and areas of interest. Say whether it's literary art, performing art, visual art, or digital skills, or what is it that fascinates them. Children should be aware of themselves. A sort of self-regulation comes into picture. As we have designed and given the opportunity to children. Further, for how to implement project-based learning in Microsoft Teams, we then proceed to creating a schedule. We need to guide our students to follow a to-do list, as in a calendar. We may design a timeline for project components. Unlike traditional school timetable, just come and do your homework and submit it to me. No, very much different than this. At the same time, we should remember that all as educators, we may have to be a little flexible. At the same time, inform students, they need to finalize their thoughts, findings, and learnings. That is creating a timeline for the children. As we have created the timeline, they have worked upon, researched, analyzed, and the most important, foremost important step of project-based learning is to find a wider audience. It should not be confined to four walls of the classroom. As and when children are ready with their learnings, their achievements, the next step is to showcase and present their learning in teams, groups, and collaborative groups to the wider audience. It could often be students from other classes, their peer group, say juniors, seniors, parents, teachers, basically, as we said, going out of four walls of classroom. So since we have presented our project to the wider community, everyone knows our learning. So what do we do next? As guided by the side of students, we educators must assess the outcome. We should keep a check. It could be a diagnostic feedback to the children. This step helps educators to set standards to evaluate, progress, and relate with others. We may give feedback to students, ideas for improvement, educators and students may discuss what worked well and what needs to be changed. They may share it in their peer group as well. If we would just like to summarize in one or a small definition about project-based learning, I would like to go ahead with saying project-based learning is more than just doing project in class. As our educator was also differentiating, it connects students to the real life, of course, the real life problems and situations, and gives them a voice over topics that they are passionate about while utilizing modern tools. That's the need of the hour. So that is about project-based learning. Moving ahead, we would be seeing few examples. So,
ma'am, please unmute yourself.
The first and the foremost project which we are going to talk about today is drugs and alcohol abuse. This is the first project which we are going to talk about today. This was done in grade 11, and of course we used Microsoft Teams. Chapter 8, number of students were 121 who joined this project-based learning, and then where it was implemented, and the time duration was 10 days. So 10 days doesn't mean that from morning to evening we do it. We have a designated time, say the activity period or the well-being call or the typical science biology period when we practice this, right? So other subjects also continue with the project-based learning as such. So the time duration was 10 days and the multimedia used was Microsoft Teams, Wakelet, PowerPoint, we used them all. And then the children decided that this project would be named as Share Facts on Drugs and Save Lives. This is what they believed need to be the name of the project. And then moving on, the first essential step which we said was significant content. The significant content about drugs and alcohol abuse, the basic knowledge, the important knowledge which was there required for the students to move ahead was drugs and alcohol use is on the rise, especially amongst the youth, is what survey and statistics show. This is a real life problem. This is from the curriculum which we had taken. Cause of concern for one and all. Yes, drug abuse is a cause of concern. To safeguard the students from this dangerous behavior, patrons and adopt healthy lifestyles, proper education and guidance would help. This is what we believed. And so did the students believe. So next essential element of project-based learning is in-depth inquiry. So the information on the drugs that causes most harm to the individual and a society. So they research, they went and studied everything in detail, in depth. So there's deep learning which happens when it comes to project-based learning. The drugs that the students are likely to encounter at some time of their lives should be included in their in-depth inquiry. And that's exactly which was done. In-depth inquiry should lead to social and emotional outcomes that are most likely to strengthen youth resilience to drug abuse. Exactly this was done when it was in-depth inquiry by the students. And then the driving question. It was all about self-regulation. Driving question is the important pivot on which the entire problem-based learning, project-based learning rests upon. And the question was, how can we encourage students in our school so that we can help each other to develop understanding, to self-regulate ourselves by saying no to drugs? A challenge, a problem, and then finding a solution. See, PBL is project-based learning and PBL is also problem-based learning, and the two of them are just the same. There's not much difference between the two. So what do you need to know about drugs was a question which was there next posed by the children, by the students amongst themselves. How, what and why of drug abuse was one thing which they deliberated upon. Recognize situations where choices can be made and identify the consequences of the choices. The right choice or the wrong choice. Should I go in for drugs? Should I not go in for drugs? Everything they need to know about it. And then assert themselves and deal with influences from others. I would not be influenced by anybody. It's my decision. I'm going to say no to the drugs. And then student voice and choice during this particular project-based learning which was happening is the student chose the direction of their learning. They decided how they're going to learn about drug abuse as such. They decided that they would love to create poems, they would love to have a panel discussion, and they would love to have a presentation too. And then once they had created the poem, the presentation, the artwork, and the panel discussion, the students were ready with their content. They enacted in front of each other, they put it up in front of the fellow classmates, and then they reflected. They thought about it. Is it correct what we have done? And then there was a positive critique going on in the classroom. Children were helping children, students were helping students. What a camaraderie which was happening in the classroom. And then after that reflection, they revised, made changes in what they had learned and what they wanted to present. Yes? And then came the final day. And the final day was public audience. Once they had prepared and they knew what they have learned, we commemorated International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking on 26 June 2021. It's a very recent project which we are talking about. And the chief guest for this special assembly when we were commemorating the International Day Against Drug Abuse was Mr. Samath Pathak, Communication Officer, South Asia United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime. And he was the chief guest along with the parents of these students who were going in for this project-based learning. And see what a beautiful use of Microsoft Teams here for the panel discussion, that we used this particular backdrop and the children came forward one by one talking about everything. It was share facts on drugs and save lives. So they shared all possible facts. This is dangerous. This is going to, memory loss would be there when we have this, and maybe this is going to, organs would be affected. And then they went for the self-composed poem, No to Drugs, Say No to Drugs. And these poems were wonderful. And there were about 15 odd children who had written their own poems. So you can very well understand this project, they're going to remember all their lives. And we will be solving the real life challenge which the students might face as such, a will, a power to say no to drugs. And then came the PowerPoint presentation, Science Behind Addiction. So here the children said that addiction is a medical problem and that it has a medical solution to it. And the science behind it is that they feel happy when they have it, but they have to take a decision that they have to say no, they have to self-regulate themselves. And why people go for drugs was one thing which they discussed. And there were some children who neither wanted to do poems, who neither wanted to go in for presentation and nor go in for the panel discussion. These children, the remaining, went in for their creativity and made wonderful, colorful posters. These posters were put on the school Facebook page, and we have the national and the international audience all liking it and appreciating it. So the audience became important. It was not, learning was not limited to the four walls of the classrooms. And then project-based learning always is accompanied by 21st century learning skills because it develops those skills. And this is what the children of today needs for their jobs tomorrow. So lots of collaboration was there throughout this project-based learning, helping each other, holding hand, facilitating. Skilled communication was there when they went in for panel discussion and gave the presentation and wrote their poems. Knowledge construction was there because lots of inquiry, lots of learning, and then writing their own poems on the basis of the information they had collected. Self-regulation was there when they came to know the knowledge and skills, and they learned at their own pace, at their own choice, at their own voice, and the self-regulation to say that I am not going to have drugs. It is a real world problem and it has a real world solution, and innovation also was taken care of when they went in for constructing this knowledge as such. And then lastly, ICT was used in a big way. Now, from the four walls of the classroom, from 121 students which we had in grade 11 who had taken up this project, we are also going in for RISE of SDGs and international project-based learning, which has national and international participants in this project. In this, 972 educators from 52 countries are collaborating, and these educators are sharing their students. 3,663 students globally are contributing their posters, raps, artwork, article write-ups, videos, and Minecraft projects for this particular international project-based learning. 12 editions of newsletters are published with students' work. E-newsletters have been published, and whatever creativity the children do it, we put it over there. And goal by goal, we began from in January, we'll be concluding in the month of September. These newsletters are shared with the educators and with the students. Very well, you can imagine the outreach of this particular project. And then their artwork is also put in the art gallery, and all children can see their own their creations in the art gallery, and we walk them through. We have, for this particular RISE of SDGs international project-based learning, we had 86 panelists from 28 countries. Again, imagine 28 countries and 86 panelists who talked about the SDG story and the students' work. And then 12 conferences have been held till date. We are growing, and here I throw an invite to all the educators who have joined today's conference. Please join this project-based learning which is happening in this RISE of SDGs. And our next goal is goal number 13. And our next conference, our next session is on 9th of July. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your valuable speech. You actually cleared all the teachers here what is project-based learning and why actually we are going to arrange this session, because this 21st skills is very much important for the betterment of the teachers and the students. And you also clear it that this PBL is actually student-centered learning. So this is the major aspects actually to this session. Thank you so much again. Mohiuddin sir.
Madam, we have two more projects which we wanted to discuss. Charu would be discussing another example of project-based learning, and Sharda madam would be discussing another project-based, another project which we have experienced and gone through in our school. If it's okay, we can move ahead. Yes, over to Charu, please.
Yeah, is I'm audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. And it was a wonderful project which is initiated by under the leadership of our principal ma'am, that is Paramjit ma'am. And then you have seen that it is not a classroom project; it is an international collaborative project-based learning which is happening using Microsoft Teams. And today our motive is how we can use project-based learning, incorporate project-based learning using Microsoft Teams. So a wonderful example which I would like to share here is of grade 8. The chapter of energy was being taught in the class, and then it was a science class, 85 students, chapter 14, and it is a 2 weeks long project. And the multimedia tools which we used in this project is the Wakelet. Microsoft Teams is the most important aspect, you can say, and the PowerPoint, Flipgrid, Adobe Spark, Art Gallery, and all those things. The